15-16. I'm going to cut to the chase. Mr. Chrysler,
Yes.
Is it true that the city has spent all of its unencumbered general fund balance and has spent more than $4 million of its emergency 7.5 reserve?
Mr. President, as I was indicating offline before we called the meeting to order, I had an extensive conversation with the mayor about the agenda today. And it was he was under the impression, which gave me the impression that what we were going to be talking about is a briefing concerning the contractual portion of the Public Works, the CD, the consent decree, and the sludge contract. So at this point, the mayor did indicate that if the issue came up about the fund balance and the budget as a whole and the audit, that he would respectfully request that he be given an opportunity to be present at that meeting, and we would recess the meeting until that could be done. So right now we don't have anyone from administration here to talk about that portion of the agenda, just the public works portion. That's
All right.
what we're prepared to discuss today.
When was this meeting noticed? This is for a question for the clerk.
Thursday.
Who requested that we have? At the time, so on Thursday, it was noticed that we're going to have a discussion of the general fund budget. Is that accurate? All right. And so, even though we've noticed this last week, had email exchange, giving our questions to the administration, the administration is not willing to speak at this time regarding whether or not it's true we have a reserve deficiency for fiscal year 14-15 and 15-16.
At this point, we're not prepared to talk about the fund balance or the budget as a whole today. As you indicated, though, Mr. President, it was noticed on Thursday. This meeting with the Rankin County Flood Control has already been on the mayor's calendar, so it would take him out of play. And as I understand it, he was prepared to do a briefing with you all prior to even that notice being given out on what we're here to discuss today with the Public Works contractual matter. So I'm just not familiar enough with it to say that ample information was disseminated in order to get this postponed.
I want to make something very clear for the record. This is a special meeting. The City Council didn't call this meeting. It was a request of the administration. When we got that request, we said that at the same time, we wanted to know how much money we had in our fund balance, how much we had in our fund reserve, and whether or not we had a reserve deficiency for 14-15 and 15-16. Those were the terms upon which this meeting was agreed to. And we can't have a discussion about hiring new people if we don't know whether or not we have the money to pay these new people. That it is my understanding that the mayor has known for at least several weeks at this point that we have used up all of our fund balance in the amount of we have zero fund balance left, and we have a reserve deficit of approximately $4,187,367. If the mayor wants to continue to ostrich, that's on him. We need to know how much money we have in our reserve. We need to be able to have good information that the council has been requesting for months at this point. Ms. Barrett-Simone?
I think it's incumbent upon the administration to respond to this morning. This is, the president said this was noticed last week, and we are getting news from other people about what our financial situation is, and it appears to be true. My question is, how in the world, when we have set the reserve by ordinance many years ago, you remember, Mr. Chrysler, that could be depleted to that point that we hear it is right now.
All right.
If anyone would like a copy of our order regarding our fund balance, and general fund reserve policy. I brought copies with me this morning.
Mr. President,
And let me say this. We did this many years ago to ensure the financial stability of the city. And if it has been violated, that's a very, very serious situation. And please respond to that also. Who is here from the legal? Mr. Anderson, I see. Okay.
yeah, we do have legal representation. As you indicated,
Speak up, please,
Councilwoman.
Mr. Chrysler.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. What was it again? I was just saying, you are correct, Councilwoman Simone, in the sense that I am very familiar with the process and how important this is and how serious it is, the nature of it. I think the thing I'm merely suggesting this morning, as I indicated, is that the intent for today, as I appreciate and respect the council's concern and frustration, the intent today was to brief on these public works matters. And I just wanted to say that I think, as I understand it, the administration was waiting for...
Chrysler, this is the council meeting, and the council can put on the agenda whatever we want to have.
Right, oh, I agree.
Addressed.
But as the president indicated, Ms. Barrett-Small, as you know, the administration requested the meeting, and I think it was upon the request of a budget meeting that we were anticipating, I think, Mr. Stamps to let us know if they were setting it for this week. So that was, again, that's just my understanding.
Mr. Stamps?
Thank you, Mr. President. So is there anyone from the finance department that can just walk across the street and talk?
They're not in the building right now.
No, they don't work in the building. They work across the street.
I know.
So can we just get somebody from the finance department to walk across here and just talk us through these matters, but so we won't be just going back and forwards? Let's walk through the issue. If it's an issue, let's just walk through it. Even if it's at a high level, we might not be able to get into the weeds because you may not have the data, you may not have something, but at least we could talk through the issue so we can have a level of understanding.
Here's what I would request, Councilman Stamps, if we could, because I know the mayor, and I appreciate that, will want to be present for that particular portion of the meeting. I would just respectfully request that we recess the meeting until we can arrange that, and the mayor has an opportunity to be here. That meeting that he's attending is at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, so if we can do it this afternoon, we could certainly have him here and administration here if that's what he decides.
Can we, Mr. President, can we just move forward to Public Works comments and then come back to maybe they can, during that time period, get somebody from across the street who is in finance? Because really, talking to the mayor is okay, but I'd rather talk to the folks who are in the finance department, municipal advisor on the phone, or something like that.
Mr. President.
Mr. Till, I'm sorry, Mr. Hendricks.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, and Mr. Crystal. I really appreciate you.
Sure.
I understand your position, the position that you're in. However, I do believe that it's extremely important that this council is going to make decisions based on it. And I'm guessing that it doesn't have which contract we're discussing. It says Public Works. I'm guessing that if you all have requested a special meeting, that this contract is fairly expensive in the millions of dollars, just assuming. If that's the case, I don't see how we move forward with even discussing a contract if we don't know where we are in terms of our revenue and expenses, in particular, where we are in terms of our fund balance and our reserve amounts. And that reason is that we couldn't afford to pay for it. Maybe we can't afford to pay for it if we don't know where we are, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I'm not even sure if it's worth discussing any further contracts, period, general fund or enterprise fund related, without knowing exactly where we are in terms of our budget.
That makes sense. I'm confident, Mr. Hendricks, that before you all can do anything, or the city can do anything, we have to ensure that money is available. Quite frankly, but I don't think it would detract from anything to hear what the Public Works Department has to present. Simply extolling our advising the council on what the process looks like and what they have to discuss on their matter. So I don't think it takes away from the meeting at all.
Made it very clear that we wanted to have both pieces of information to have a holistic discussion. And, we've been asking for how much we have in our general fund balance. We've been asking whether or not we have used up all of our fund balance. We've been asking about just basic management questions. The mayor has made it abundantly clear that he has the ability to get the information he wants heard across, and yet here it is, we've got some of the most pressing financial information that the city needs, and he can't. I know he's gotten this information. I refused. It would be I refuse to believe the mayor doesn't know the answer to the question of whether or not we have a reserve deficiency for 14-15 and 15-16. I refuse to believe that the mayor doesn't know how much money we have in our general fund. I refuse to believe that the mayor doesn't know how much our expenses are. And this is just basic information that we've been asking over and over and over again. And I'm inclined to recess this meeting until 1 o'clock. And if the mayor doesn't want to give us the information,
Can we do 12 o'clock?
12 o'clock? 12 o'clock's fine with me.
Well, I think before we, recess, if we're going to recess it to a certain time, we need to know what we're going to have, who's going to be here at the particular time. I don't think, we can reconvene at 12, and if it's the same crew here, then we haven't accomplished anything. It needs to be, the time that we reconvene needs to be based on, the people who are going to be here to present the data.
The administration has the data. They are purposely refusing to give basic information to the council because it portrays them in a bad light. It portrays them in a light where they do not have the ability to control their budgets and have basic management oversight.
I have another comment, too. I feel bad for you guys that you're put in this position.
Right.
You are employees of the city. You are not just employees of the mayor. And it is just terrible that you are put in this position of not being able to give us facts, even though you know exactly what the situation is this morning. I refuse to work for somebody that put me in that position.
Mr. Foote?
I would just say that this is unsatisfactory that the administration has put us in this predicament with we call a meeting, or the president calls a meeting.
Look,
we get
I didn't
here
call this meeting. The mayor asked to have this meeting, and we said we'll talk about these two things, but the one thing that really matters, we can't talk about.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that in this predicament with we call a meeting, or the president calls a meeting.
Look,
we
I
get
didn't
here
call this meeting. The mayor asked to have this meeting, and we said we'll talk about these two things, but the one thing that really matters, we can't talk about.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that I'm up for meeting at a later time, but it needs to be with the facts. It doesn't need to be another meeting where we just sit there and talk at each other about, the unknowns. We need to have the data here for whenever we meet. If y'all want to set the time, I'm up for that, but it needs to be with the information we're going to discuss.
Mr. President, I think you suggested rather 1 o'clock, and I certainly would convey that to the mayor. And I hear everything you're saying. I think it's presumptuous at this point that he doesn't have the information, the administration doesn't have information. He's just simply not here, and I think everybody sees that. So he had a conflict on his schedule, which is very important.
But the finance people aren't here.
I get it. But again, it is his prerogative being the mayor and the executive officer of the city, as you all know, to be as something that's this important. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that and make sure he's here. If that's
So
what he wants to do.
are you acknowledging that we have a reserve deficit?
That we have what now?
Are you acknowledging that we have a reserve deficit
No.
and we're not meeting
No,
a
sir.
7.5%?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess this is a question for legal. It's my understanding from my reading from the Mississippi State statute that the council has the authority to call forward any municipal employee in which it desires to testify before the council. And so,
Well, let me cut you off there. We're not going to get to that point. We just want the numbers.
no,
Because I think it's obvious they know the numbers. And I'm not going to subpoena people. I'm not going to have a disorderly process. We've given an opportunity to, let's just get to the bottom of the problem and deal with it.
no, Mr. President.
So
Go ahead.
let me. I want to cut you off there.
Go ahead.
It's clear that we don't have the information or the people willing to give the information right now, which leads me to believe it's true that we have a significant reserve deficiency and that we do not have that something is going on with the numbers that we aren't being told. And I'm going to. Do we have to give a date certain to? No. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to conclude this meeting, and we will schedule another meeting with both of the same items at a date that works for everyone, but no later than Thursday. Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm not voting for one claims docket until I get information that I know the mayor has regarding our general fund.
Mr. President, point of clarity before you recess, I just got one question. Yes, sir. I just wanted to know in terms of, so I can be able to convey it to him, in terms of the budget, and my understanding that you all don't have, and I'm reverting back to when I was sitting on the council, Ms. Barrismore, we always had a copy, our access to the budget. Are y'all not getting the information? Is that what I'm hearing?
We're not getting the information that other people seem to have.
Everyone seems to know that we have a reserve deficit. No one will tell the council or confirm to the council the various amounts that are floating around. And I just want to know, do we have a reserve deficit for 14, 15, and 15, 16? If so, how much? If so, what's the plan for replenishing reserve? What's the current revenue in the general fund budget? What's the final general fund revenue for 14, 15? What are our expenditures for 15, 16 through the end of the second quarter? These questions have all been forwarded to the administration well before this meeting, and they are all questions that any competent manager would know about their operations if they are truly ready to lead from day one. Mr. Stamps.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just got one, just maybe suggestion that may help out operationally. When you take over something and it's moving too fast, and maybe you should just slow it down, because the machine is chewing up money in places you don't know because it's moving too fast. And instead of trying to be bold, let's just be basic and scale back the operations and not try to move so fast. I know we got requirements and timelines because of several things, but to the degree we can, maybe we can just slow the whole city down until we can, as a city, gain more efficiency and competency, and then speed it back up. I think we've jumped onto this moving train. We control the coal burning, so let's just slow the machine down because it's kind of hard to point to where the inefficiencies are if it's a half a percent in 200 different places. And I think that's from outside looking in on the administration side. I think that's where we are in the city.
Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. President.
All right, we'll figure out a time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilman Stamps, I don't know how much slower we can move at this point. I don't think the constituents and the residents would necessarily appreciate us slowing down further than we are at this current time. Mr. President, I'm just making a request, and it's to your discretion. If at all possible, could we meet later on today? I'm not sure what my schedule is for the rest of the week, but if at all possible, if the administration will be present, the finance department, and or the mayor can attend, fine. I'm not concerned with his attendance. I'm more concerned with the finance department being here, Mr. President. And that's just a request. It's to your discretion. Thank you.
My inclination is to reschedule entirely, but if we can get your preference is neither one.
Be here. I'm with Foot. If they're not going to be here, we don't know when to reschedule it for. If they're not going to be here and prepared to present.
If will you be ready to present at 1?
Now, I was just going to suggest, since we are considering it, I think it'd be in good order to let you know next time we can certainly get there, because we don't want you wasting your time. So I agree with Mr. Stamps and Mr. Foote. We don't want you coming over here and the people that you need to see are not here. So since the meeting was called by the mayor, requested by the mayor, I would certainly, as soon as I leave this meeting, talk to him personally and find out what's a good time to meet.
All right, and I want to make another note for the record. We have the ability to set our own agendas, and we eject this agenda mutually. That when Mr. McCoy asked whether or not we would want to have a meeting to discuss contracts, I made it very clear by virtue of the fact that the agenda that went out had these basic questions about the fund balance and revenue for 14-15, that this was a package deal. All right. So it seems to me we're going to get no commitment to have the people that need to be here at 1. I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and we will figure out a date certain to reschedule this meeting before the end of the week. And I can't speak for any other council people, but I'm not voting for a single claim docket until I get information about whether or not we actually have a reserve deficiency and if we have any fund balance left. This meeting's adjourned.